You're cool. Imagine being diagnosed with a serious form of cancer. That could have been diagnosed and treated early on if you had only had awareness or you didn't have the fear of dealing with something embarrassing. At some point in your life, someone has told you embarrassment can't kill you, such as giving a lecture like this. But in this case, it can. According to the National Cancer Institute, only 40% of the cancers were diagnosed prior to them going into other tissues. That means 60% went beyond the initial site and went into other tissues. Today we're going to cover what colon cancer is, who's at risk, prevention, and treatments. But first, a brief story. Here at Station 6, just recently one of our firefighters, and turn around or something.
Mike, you look back, Mike.
Firefighter Tumanello was diagnosed with colorectal cancer.
I'm a lucky one.
For the last 20 years, he's had an inflammatory bowel disease. I always say it wrong. Ulcerative colitis. But he's been proactive. He's gone to the doctor. He's had the testing done, and they caught it early. So now he's going to be able to go, and unfortunately he has to have his entire colon taken out, but he will be able to recover and come back to work with us here at Station 6, which is huge. Okay, what is colorectal cancer? Everybody in the room, and paramedics, we should be familiar with this, at least. It's 6 feet long, your colon, and the last 6 inches is considered your rectum. So together it's, yes, 6 feet. Together, it's considered colorectal cancer. Generally speaking, it develops after polyps are left unattended and not taken out, and they become cancerous. Although there is a form called Lynch syndrome that occurs in younger people where the tissues actually just become cancerous, but that's a lesser incidence of the cancer. Some of the symptoms, according to the Mayo Clinic: abdominal pain, rectal bleeding, abnormal stool, being diarrhea or constipation for over 2 weeks is cause for concern. Weakness and fatigue is another symptom. Just some statistics from the National Cancer Institute. For men, it's the 3rd leading cancer. For women, it's the 4th, so it's right up there. I didn't know that before I did this research. In 2008 in America, over 150,000 people were diagnosed with colorectal cancer. 50,000 died in this last year alone. So now that we've covered some anatomy, symptoms, prevalence, and whatnot, we're going to go into risk. Now, according to the Mayo Clinic, there's some risk factors you can control and some you can't. Sex, like we said, women are a little bit less likely to get colorectal cancer. Age plays a major part. If you're over the age of 50, you fall into cover 90% of the people that have colorectal cancer. If you have a personal history of polyps, it increases your chances. If you have a familial history, especially a primary or a first-degree relative, a father, mother, brother, sister, that has been diagnosed with colorectal cancer before the age of 60, you fall into the high-risk group. Inherited syndromes. There's a couple in which you end up with hundreds of polyps that will eventually become cancerous if untreated. And then inflammatory bowel disease, as I mentioned before, we're experiencing here at Station 6. There's some preventable risks. Diet. If you're sedentary, it increases chances. If you're obese, it increases your chances. If you smoke, if you drink, these are all things that you can have an impact on. Now we're going to talk about some of the prevention. According to the Mayo Clinic, prevention comes in 2 forms. There's screening and then your diet, which you can control. As far as screening, if you're in the regular risk group, you would have certain tests done. If you're in the high-risk group, there would be more tests and different tests throughout a time period. A colonoscopy every 10 years, where they look at the whole colon. A flexible sigmoidoscopy, where they just look at the first part, every 5 years. A fecal occult meaning hidden, so hidden blood in your stool, they can look for once a year. The double contrast variant minima, that's also a test that they can do. And there again, if you're in the high-risk group or the regular risk group, it depends on the frequency of these. If you're in the high-risk group, you're going to have it more frequently, as you can attest to. Diet, decreased amounts of saturated fats, vegetables, fiber, in high quantities are good. you limit your alcohol and boat smoke, and you can really hedge the bets as far as getting colorectal cancer. Treatments. According to the American Cancer Society, the treatments are based on the spread of the disease and the severity. If it's just in the mucosa versus gone through the wall of the large intestine, or if it's gone into the lymph, or if it's metastasized into organs, it determines how they stage it for the severity. 0 being the least, 4 being the worst, where it's metastasized. All these come into play when they're deciding what treatments you're going to get. Surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation are the 3 major treatments, and they may use one or a combination of them depending on the severity. So, in conclusion, we've gone over what is colorectal cancer. We've gone over some of the risk factors, prevention, and treatments of it. Understanding the information can help you as healthcare providers and also in your personal life. As you increase your knowledge and awareness, you can increase your health by catching this disease early through having tests done and taking precautions to eat right, exercise. You can definitely hedge the bets and avoid colorectal cancer. All right, any questions? Questions?
At what age do you need that scope done?
Well, since 90% of the cases occur above 50 years of age, they recommend at 50 you begin getting the colostomy. Sorry, the
Scope?
Yeah, the scope. And you need to talk to a doctor because they can do a full panel to see if you have any factors that put you in the high-risk categories.
And what are some of the signs and symptoms of having
Like I was
cancer?
saying before, there's a wide array, but some of the major ones are abdominal pain, rectal bleeding, change in stool via diarrhea or constipation over a period longer than 2 weeks, fatigue and weakness, which everybody experiences, but that in conjunction with the others can be caused for a while. Anything else? No? Okay. If you want to come up and do the rate your speaker.
Come up.
Yeah, you got to go up there. Take over.
Okay. This is part of this.
You got voted in.
Close here.
Be sure to zoom in.
What a good looking man.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. I don't want to get you jealous. All right. What did this speaker do well?
She made eye contact with everybody in the room.
She's very well informed.
Yeah, she was very well versed in the topic.
Yes, she knew that colon very well.
Yes, Dana. I'm sorry. Your hand's up.
Where'd you get that nice shirt?
My friends from logistics.
My instructor said not to let it drag on.
Okay.
On to the next one.
What could the speaker have done better?
Use your words.
It was a speaker. But go ahead.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, she did.
She did a very good job. There's really no room for improvement there.
Very informative.
Sir?
He's been told not to talk.
Sorry, it's my chief. And he's been affected with disease. It makes it so he can't speak.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Okay, anything above the season, which stay at the beach.
Good job.
Yeah.
$20.